Hello, we're back, and the topic we're discussing is called Medical Dilemma. It's not just a topic for this program. It is a new show that's being launched here at GNN. Now, wait for it. It'll be coming on April. Now, with us, we have the hosts. Again, I'll say them. We have Doctora Attorney Teresita R. Sanchez, medical legal consultant. We have Father Jerry Manlangit, OP. He is a bioethicist. We will ask him to describe that. Kasi bira ako makakilala ng bioethicist. And of course, you all know Attorney Sarah Jane Sugitan of the Sugitan Law Office. Father, ano ba talaga ang bioethicist? Pwede ba maging presidente yun?
Well, bioethicist basically is an expert in ethics. But because my ethics is specifically applicable or applied to healthcare or biology, then we are called bioethicists.
Biology
Yes.
and ethics. So
Ethics.
ethical standards, points
life.
of views
In life.
in
healthcare,
life,
or
standards,
health
standards,
also.
measurements in life, basically.
Yes.
Pero you're not a doctor,
I am not a doctor.
but you're a priest.
I am.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to announce this. You're going to get a big kick out of this. Father Jerry is also the parish priest of Manawan. Wala na ako say. Panalo na po kayo. Pero, pag sinabi mo bioethicist, do you discuss, you put life over spirit and faith? How do you separate and segregate yourself, personal self, from being a preacher? Because order of the preachers, di ba?
Yes,
OP,
yes.
OP,
Right.
OP ka. So,
Right.
where do you separate yourself between the spiritual, the faith, religion, kasi Catholic faith, and being the human bioethicist?
Well, first of all, we recognize the fact of biology or healthcare. Okay? We recognize the fact
The
or
science,
Yes,
yeah.
the science there. But you see, science or the things that we do in science, let's say medical or surgical procedure, these are human actions
To human people.
to human
To humans,
people,
yes.
and these entails human decisions.
Correct.
When it entails human decisions, then it also entails whether or not these human decisions are right or wrong. Comes down to ethics. For example, is it right that you do liposuction, which is in birth?
Only if you have the money.
Right. But healthcare is also a right. Why is it that only those who have money can avail of it?
Nice point, no? Kung sino lang mayaman
Right.
pwede. Sabi ko na nga mga kuhang ko, huwag magpresidente. Naging dynasty pa eh. But go ahead.
So, you mean to say that healthcare is only for those who can pay? How about those who cannot?
So, yung ethics mo, ano mang mananalo sa inyo? Because conflict in yourself, in your profession, can actually exist. Because of the bio side, the bio-human side,
Right.
and the faith. It
Yeah.
can be a conflict with you. How do you tackle these two distinct positions?
Yeah, the basic question there is, medicine can do a lot of things. Right now, there are so many
Yes,
things that medicine can do.
It's still growing.
It's still growing and advancing, etc. So there are many things that you can do. And you can. Should you do it? So the question of should you do it? Now the ethics comes in. Should you do it?
Naku, alam ko na, bumagsak na RH bill kagad. Ano?
Alright.
Ikaw dapat ang hinarap namin nung kay Giron eh. Siya ang tinuloy ginawa Secretary of Health. Kayo, attorney, ano yung conflict sa legal?
Well,
Pagdating sa all the different, because these are disciplines, correct me if I'm
Right.
wrong. Bioethicists,
Yes.
the discipline of medicine and science, the discipline, the legal discipline. How do you handle the conflicts?
the underlying policy of the law, we always point it back to the Bill of Rights in our Constitution, which is the right to life, liberty, and property. So the right to life is always paramount in any situation.
Tunog abogado po, ano? Mahirap na. Sige po.
Hindi, maganda yung sinasabi ni Father na kasi you say bioethicist, it sounds like a doctor even to anyone of first impression. But for example, in a country like the US, it's a very real consideration. In state prisons, some of the inmates who require plastic surgery or who have undergone plastic surgery, for example, sex change, and are already incarcerated to serve a sentence of, for example, 10 years, would need, for example, their estrogen or whatever injections to be maintained. And who pays for that? Normally, the state.
The state.
Any medical treatment. But that is being brought into question as to why should the state do it? Why should our taxes
nga
go into
naman,
payment
ano?
of that particular inmate's healthcare when that is an optional for them kasi it's aesthetic. It's not like the inmate is dying if he doesn't get his estrogen maintenance every month. So now it comes into play, the bioethicist point, because the law does not, well, the law has an answer. It means whatever the inmate requires for sustenance, then the state will pay for it, for example. Pero on the ethical side, why should we continue obeying that law when we can change it? We can pass another law to repeal that, or to repeal that ordinance or policy, and replace it with another policy, which is to stop paying for that inmate's treatment, for example.
Tama nga naman.
So, yeah.
Doktora, tamang-tama ang pangalan ng show nyo eh. Bagay na bagay sa GNN eh. Conflict. Bagay na bagay. How do you control everybody else? Being the determining discipline, meaning medical. The person needs medical help. The person can die.
Okay.
You have to make decisions. You have to make what they call a diagnosis, a correct diagnosis, and proper treatment. Here comes ethics. Here comes morality. Here comes legal. Make conflict. The guy is dying. What do you do? For example, let's take that. Was it Jehovah's Witness? Ay nila yung blood
Yeah, yeah,
transfusion, or in the Amish, kung ano. How would you handle situations like that? Because on TV, baliktad eh. Movies, TV, entertainment yan eh. They go, pinalalabas nila yung doktor ang panalo because the doctor saves lives regardless of religion. Di ba? Ganun ang pinalalabas nila. Alam ko, Grey's Anatomy, I watch that all the time. Parating, doktor ang tama. Doctor Kildare when I was a kid. That was the in, di ba?
Yeah.
Dr. Kildare doesn't care the morality. I'm gonna save your life. Di ba? Ganun ang ng doktor. How do you
Diyos
deal with that? Because they're both answered how exactly they deal with that very personal conflict with themselves and their expertise. How do you as a doctor, how do the doctors do it?
Well, definitely, we have the expert knowledge to back us up.
That's
no?
what I mean.
So we're going to tell them this is what you need, but with respect, we now respect other things like culture, the beliefs of a certain person,
kung
their
nagkamali-
rights.
But if
So-
Juan de la Cruz is a bit, is left wanting to make the right decision, should you make that decision? Di ba? Mamamatay ka. No, I believe in my faith. Bawal ang dugo sa akin. Mamamatay ka. Hindi. O sige, hindi ko ginawa. Namatay. Bakit mo pinatay ang anak ko? Ganun typical Pinoy.
Yeah.
Right.
It's-
Di ba? Ang hirap eh. Ang hirap po ng trabaho nyo. Not for anything. Ngayon ko na nakikita. Kaya nga medical dilemma eh. But as a doctor, I would imagine you would feel really, really bad if when you do lose patients. I know doctors do. They get emotionally involved, maski papano.
Yes,
Because
that's
you're only
correct.
human. But how do you deal with the other disciplines that confront you in your own, very own profession? Knowing this person needs this care, but I'm held back by the legal. I am held back by bioethicists. I am held back by the priest. I'm being held back by whatever. I'm held back by Pinoy. And I'm sorry I keep doing that. You know, it's because of the political side of me. But going back to that, how would you handle that?
Well, as a doctor, when we have these patients, we have to tell them what are the facts and what are they facing.
So diretsuhan lang, black and white.
Diretsahan, yes.
No gray area ang
But
doktor.
now we respect their choices. That's the
What if they
prevailing
die?
principle now.
The fact is that
1%.
if situations happen like this, no,
Oo.
actually it's the doctor can make decisions. For example, the patient is going to die if no surgery is done.
Correct.
Or no blood is given.
Let's say he needs blood transfusion. If he doesn't, then he can be charged of negligence. So,
Ayun.
dalawa. So between being negligent and doing something, if I am a doctor, I will do it. Because in the end,
You're still responsible. The doctor is
Yes.
still responsible.
in
You
case
follow
there
what
is a legal or lawsuit, who will this crazy judge, who will convict a doctor for doing something
That is correct.
for
Yeah,
saving a
for
life.
saving a life.
No one is going, no doctor is going to put him in jail. But you can be put in jail if you did not do anything. That's negligence.
So,
So
when,
for bioethicists, that will be our decision. Do it.
so the practice of the different disciplines coming together to make that decision does not necessarily have to be right in front when there's emergency. It can be after the procedure. In other words, pag mimitingan nyo, tama ba ginawa ni doktora? Ni doktor, tama ba yun? Parang gano'n, may buntis. Pag nanganak siya, yung anak niya may HIV, mamamatay yan. Parang gano'n, mamamatay din siya. Who do we allow to live and whatnot? You know, issues like that. It can be after the fact, right? It can be a study after,
Yeah,
like a
in
review.
reality, it can be after the fact. It can also be before the fact. There is a dilemma here before. There will also be dilemma afterwards.
Is there such a thing as dilemma that cannot be resolved?
Yeah.
Oh, meron?
Marami.
There are.
Oh, meron?
Right.
What do you do when you cannot solve it? And a patient is waiting. Ano ba kayo? Mag-decide na kayo. Mabubuhay ba ako o hindi? Of course, sasabihin mo, mabubuhay ka. Pero, wala ka na pa, wala ka na mata, wala ka na nito. Ayoko. Di ba?
The best decision there is do it for the sake of the patient.
So, the patient's health
And safety.
is first and foremost.
Yes.
First and
And
foremost.
everything else follows.
Yes.
So
Ako, panalo pala
ultimately,
dito, doktor. Talo
ultimately,
kayong dalawa.
yeah, that's correct.
Okay lang, because we are going to agree afterwards that, well, you have done it for the sake of the patient. You are here for the patient.
Consideration.
Yeah.
Does the law have considerations, attorney?
Well, in
Alam
that-
ko, hindi. Law is black and white. Eh. Dito nakasulat yan o hindi. Eh. Nasa batas yan eh. Yan ang mahirap dyan eh.
Well, many times when the end justifies the means, then we will pass a new law. That will be the
Gosh, you sound like this administration. This administration has just
No,
carried a new one.
classmate ko po yung deputy presidential
Oh, si
spokesperson.
Abigail.
Kaya ganun.
No, but the fact that they can now legislate using the new council, well, okay, no? Creative country management. So, when you do your show, will you be doing actual issues, actual conflict? Or will you be discussing, I figure on your first show, you'll be discussing the importance, the gist, the body of Medical Dilemma as a show and what you promise to deliver to the viewers. But in the show, as it goes on into April, May, and June, will you be discussing real conflict issues?
There will be
True to
cases.
life.
Yes.
Cases,
There will be
cases.
cases
Okay,
that will
yeah.
be presented. There will be cases.
Nakakatakot naman ang mga cases.
And then later on, we can open it to the public. They can ask questions later.
Oh no, baka
That
lumabas
will
sa
be-
balita yan. Oo, madudumog kayo. Baka maubos na ang show nyo sa kakatanong ng mga taong bayan.
Pwede.
Pwede. Kasi ganun po mangyayari niyan because mahirap intindihin ng medical dilemma kung isipin mo eh.
Yeah.
Because no one has ever discussed this in TV shows.
This will be the
Dilemma.
first of its
No,
kind.
I
yeah.
have not seen anything yet. There are some, but
Snippets.
Actually,
Comments.
hindi eh, in dilemma because here you're represented by the many disciplines that you talk about. You have the expertise on the different disciplines. Ang hirap pag nagbabanggaan po kayo. I'm surprised you three can sit together. We're gonna have to take a short break. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm not apologetic about my political biases that I keep inserting once in a while because I do find the opportunity with sarcasm, injecting exactly what I'm trying to promote. My perception based on personal perceptions. This is not necessarily what the TV show or GNN thinks. It's basically the Harry Tambuatco perception. However, going back to the medical dilemma, I invite you to watch this program as it goes on. We'll be right back and we'll discuss other issues. And maybe they'll allow you to start calling, but only not too many calls. Baka maubos yung content ng show. Pag tumatawag kayo, tanong kayo ng tanong. We'll be right back.